seed in the Invitational.
Hello everyone, I'm Glenn Jones and I'm here with Max Tietz. First off, congratulations on another Invitational Top 8, Max.
Thanks, Ben.
For viewers at home, Max is actually already an Invitational champion. You've got one trophy on your mantle, looking for a second one.
Oh, yeah.
So what would the second trophy mean to you? You know, validation, a little less space, you know, more cups?
Yeah, it would mean a lot. I mean, I haven't won anything that big since the last one, and that was last year, so I would love to, feel like I'm capable of beating a really strong top 8 and, coming through and doing it.
Yeah, a strong field has definitely given us a very strong top 8 at this tournament. Interestingly, you're very well known for piloting Goblins in Legacy. That's a deck you're identified with very strongly. You, Jim Davis, Cedric, those are like the three names everyone thinks of when they think Goblins in Legacy, right?
Yeah.
But for your first Invitational win, you played Punishing Maverick in Legacy. Mm-hmm. That got you there. And then here, you're playing Blue, White, Red Delver, kind of a new kid on the block for Legacy, actually.
Yeah.
So I guess, do you shy away from Goblins for Invitationals, or is it just sort of the kismet of circumstances that you wound up going with different decks?
I've actually played Goblins at most, if not all, of the other Invitationals, aside from the one that I won. But I just felt right now like combo is a little too prevalent, and
Sure.
Goblins does not like seeing sneak and show decks, so I wanted to be able to interact with them. And I had never picked up a Legacy Delver deck before the first round of this tournament, but I'd played other Delver decks, and I liked that style, so I went with it.
Okay, so you turned to the dark side of Blue Tempo for Legacy.
Yeah.
What made you decide on Blue, White, Red Delver as opposed to Rug Delver or even Blue, Red Delver? There are a lot of options if you want to be casting Delvers and Spell Pierces, basically.
Yeah.
So what about the Blue, White, Red deck really sold you, besides the recent results it's had, which have been fantastic?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's pretty much that I've seen my friend Eric Smith did really well with it. He won the Invitational last time. I talked to him about the list, and he was still confident in it. And Gerard Fabiano also did really well with it. He liked it. And I've played, I top 8'd a Grand Prix with Blue, White, Red Delver. It was different. It was modern, but
sure.
I like the style of deck, and I like having access to Swords to Plowshares, get rid of those Tarmogoyfs. So.
All right, so it was a sort of a combination of comfort and confidence there, especially from your friends who have great reasons to be confident in the deck. Besides of their own great results, players have continued to do well with the deck for months, so that makes a lot of sense. I guess the elephant in the room as far as this Legacy top 8 goes, definitely the sneak and show deck, right? It's just all over the top 8. A lot of the players played it in the tournament, so I imagine you're familiar with the matchup by now, even if you weren't going into the Invitational.
Yeah.
What do you think of your chances in that matchup? Specifically, you're going to be on the draw as the 8th seed. You're going to have to be on the draw throughout the top 8.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to really affect your shot?
Well, the good thing is that game 1 is definitely a lot worse for me than games 2 through 5.
Okay.
So the game where I'm already not really favored is the game where I'm also on the draw, so we could just get that out of the way and move on to the sideboard games where I'm bringing in a lot of stuff, and they're bringing in a couple of things, but their deck is already pretty much built to do what it's going to do beforehand.
Yeah.
Whereas mine has dead cards that I just want to take out, bring in some stuff that's going to give me a better chance. So I like the best out of 5. I like how that helps
you think
my
it
chances.
favors you more than 2 out of 3 might, because you just get more chances to actually take it down.
My 2 losses in Legacy were actually sneak and show, but they were close matches, and I also beat QE once. I got pretty lucky, but
you proved that he was mortal.
Yeah. I proved that he was mortal, and I think it's a pretty even matchup, and I'm looking forward to some good games.
Yeah, I think that Blue, White, Red feels a little bit behind Sneak and Show compared to like Rug Delver.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the Nimble Mongooses to give you that additional turn 1 threat. But you obviously have some more powerful cards. Geist of St. Trapp can close a game out much faster, for example. So yeah, I agree with you. It definitely seems to improve for you post-sideboard. That said, do you kind of wish that the top 8 was standard? I'm just curious. I know you're a seasoned Legacy player, but maybe that might improve your shot.
I guess I have more experience with the blue-white deck that I'm playing in Standard. Do I really want to play that against Esper decks piloted by amazing players? No, but I mean I don't know what everybody was playing in Standard, but I'm pretty happy with how it worked out, being able to play Legacy versus Sneak and Show. I have more counters than most Rug Delver decks, so that's in my favor.
Yeah, Legacy did deliver you that first Invitational trophy, so it makes sense you might want to stick to the Eternal format on that. I guess I kind of want to talk a little bit about your standard deck. You played blue-white control. Most people, as you said, a lot of good players have deferred to Esper to get the weapons to fight other control decks, and specifically to gain access to Thoughtseize. Obviously, a huge weapon against decks like Mono Black Devotion, which can quickly take over a game with Pack Rat or their own Thoughtseizes. So we saw blue-white control win in Seattle last weekend in the hands of Jesse Hampton. He took down the standard open, but a lot of people kind of felt like maybe Jesse just played really, really well with this deck that actually wasn't as good as a lot of the other decks he faced. Clearly, you disagree. You like blue-white control. So what sold you on playing this particular control variant?
I would actually say I don't disagree, in the sense that in my experience with the deck on Magic Online, testing over the past week or so, I lost easily 50% of games that I could have won just by making a minor mistake. So I would say Jesse probably played it extremely well, and I knew going into this that I would have to play really well to be able to pull out matches, because it's a very low margin of error with the deck. And I still made some mistakes, but in the end it wound up working out. And Esper does give you more of a safety net with like the Thoughtseizes and the black removal for certain matchups. And it might just be better, but I had experience with this one, so I stuck with it.
Sure, you already had an open top 8, and as someone who watched Jesse take down the tournament, I can attest I would have certainly lost many of the games I watched him play, so you're definitely right that there's a fine line to walk. Max, good luck in the top 8. I have one last question for you. What kind of token would you like to make?
For now, I'm thinking Voice of Resurgence token.
An elemental token, all right. All right, well, in a few rounds, we'll get to find out if that's the token you're going to get.
All right.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to my colleague Ruben Bresler, and he'll have your 7th seed in the Invitational all lined up.
Hello and welcome back to the booth. I am Ruben Bresler, and I am joined by our 7 seed, Evan West. Evan, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see you. You're one of the lesser-known players in this top 8, so let the folks at home know a little bit about you, where you're from, and how you qualified for this tournament.
Okay. Well, I'm obviously Evan West. I from Lansing, Michigan. Qualified from a Lansing Classic, which was standard. Played Junk Aristocrats there, and this is also in the Midwest, so it was an easy decision to come here.
Absolutely, yeah. And so that was a standard tournament that you qualified for.
Correct.
Lots of 1-drops, lots of 2-drops, lots of 3-drops, lots of tricky interactions. And in the standard tournament here, you also played a quick 1, 2, 3-drop deck, but lots of different tricky interactions. Mono Blue Devotion.
Correct.
Where you finished with a 7-1 record. Obviously very different decks, but somewhat similar style in that you try and get in lots of little bits of damage here and there.
Yeah, a lot of little tricks.
Yeah, 1 power creatures, 2 power creatures, not a ton of enormous powerful spells, but able to pull out lots of little interactions. How was your standard tournament?
My standard tournament was very well. That's the portion of the tournament I felt more comfortable with. I chose Mono Blue because, it is in my wheelhouse, like you mentioned before. But I tried beating it with basically every other deck I found in the format, Mono Black, Esper, and I was just losing to it all, way more than I would like. So
sure,
it went very well and basically as expected.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a very fun deck, as we alluded to. There's lots of weird things that you can do with like Night Veil Spectre and just bizarre tricks that you can make.
Absolutely.
In the Legacy tournament, you also have a deck that has a lot of interesting interactions, lots of interesting tricks, and that's Shardless Bug.
Correct.
The most popular deck from the last Invitational. In fact, I think your 75 is the same 75 that Jerry Thompson won the last, or top-8'd the last Invitational with.
That's correct. I don't have much experience in Legacy. And Shardless Bug is a deck that I liked playing from the little experience I did have, and I saw, do very well in the last Invitational, and decided, who better to trust than Jerry with it.
Exactly.
So.
Why reinvent the wheel? We'd already figured it out. So unless we wanted to add something from Theros, but I'm not sure how much there was. Yeah. So you finished with a 7-1 record in Standard, but your Legacy record was 5-2-1.
5-2-1, correct.
5-2-1, so not as strong, but still respectable. Going into this top 8, you're playing against William Huey Jensen. Now, in this Invitational, there was one Hall of Famer playing. It's Huey. He was also the last undefeated player. He's got a lot of clout. He's got a lot of history. It's a little bit intimidating facing off against Huey, even if you didn't have all of that. He's well known as one of the most intimidating in-game presences. Are you at all off-put by that, or you think you'll get over it by the time you get down there?
I don't think I'll be off-put. It is a little intimidating, but I've played against a lot of very good players this weekend, so I think I don't think it'll be anything different than what's been going on.
Jitters will be gone by then after this interview, which I'm sure is way worse than anything that could ever happen.
Absolutely.
So, one quick question before you go. The most important question that we ask any of the Invitational top 8 competitors. What do you think your token is going to be if you win this Invitational?
If I win the Invitational, I'm going to go with the red, green, white Sand Warrior token.
Okay.
For Hazaza Tamar.
Sure.
Raymond Perez, who did well at the Pro Tour or 2 weeks ago or something, has informed me that that's what the people want. It's what the people need.
They need a Sand Warrior token.
They need a Sand Warrior token.
Elder Dragon Highlander decks.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So, Midwest player playing in the Midwest Invitational. You think you'll go to Las Vegas?
It's likely at this point, yes.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you. Good luck later on.
All right. Thank you very much.
Evan West, he's the 7 seed. We're going to toss it down to the 6 seed with Glenn Jones, and that's Michael Bernat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Glenn Jones, and I'm here with Michael Bernat, our 6th seed in the Invitational. First off, congratulations on your top 8.
Thank you, Glenn.
Obviously hard fought and well-deserved. The city of Indianapolis has been pretty good to you when it comes to the Open Series.
Yeah.
You're actually already an Open champion with a High Tide.
Correct.
And you've notched a couple top 8s as well in various formats. Plus, something about you just kind of communicates. You might be an Indianapolis fan.
Maybe
like
just a little bit,
yeah. So you decided to play a pretty unique deck, the most unique deck in the top 8, I think we can safely say.
Okay.
It's been termed as Baleful Blade. It's really just a variant on Esper Stoneblade.
Right.
You've added in Baleful Strix, you've got your Geistlessing Traps. It's can be a little more aggressive, but also has some of those value cards you're kind of porting over from Shardless Bug, right?
Right.
So I guess, what gave you the idea to play this particular deck? Did you work on anyone with it?
Well, this is Joe Bernal's deck from... Okay. He doesn't even play it anymore. He scrapped the deck, and I kind of got the list from him a few opens ago, and I'm too lazy to come up with a new deck, so I just kind of stuck with it because that's what I had together.
Sure. So perhaps Joe gave up his toils a little too early, obviously. It paid
Maybe.
off for you here.
He's been playing a blue-white control deck that he's been having pretty good success with, though, too.
Yeah,
so.
I know I've seen him casting back to basics, much to his opponent's dismay.
Yeah.
So having played, obviously, at least about 8 rounds with the Baleful Blade, what do you think it offers you as opposed to things like, Esper Deathblade or traditional Esper Stoneblade or other Stoneforge Mystic-based decks?
I'm not too sure, honestly. I know Joe said that he built it because he put those in there because it's supposed to be good against the Shardless Bug. So
sure, it's obviously Baleful Strix is an excellent weapon against Tarmogoyf. Plus, it's just a cantrip blue creature. It's hard to go that far astray with it. So I'm sure it's worked out. Moving over to Standard, that obviously is one of the decks that got you here as well, even though you won't get to play it anymore. You played Mono Blue Devotion, one of the decks that really kind of took off after Pro Tour Theros. Some people thought it might be a flash in the pan. Clearly, you decided to disagree. Why'd you want to go with Mono Blue Devotion for the Invitational?
Mainly because I had some practice with it online, and it's the only deck I had any practice with at all. I've really only played 15 matches with it, online, and I didn't feel confident bringing Esper to this tournament to play all the mirrors. Figured I had a better shot to try to get lucky with the blue deck that I at least had some practice with.
Sure.
That's basically why. I don't feel very confident in it, playing it, though. So.
All right, well, I guess that means you're kind of happy to be going back to Legacy.
Yeah, I feel like I just got lucky in the Standard for the most part.
In
the Legacy, too,
I mean. Convert. Obviously, can have some really powerful Devotion draws, can jam people with Biden up pretty good. That card's been very good against the Mono Black Devotion deck from what I hear. But, I'm telling you this, you already know all this stuff, right? So, going into the top 8, you are matched up against Shardless Bug. It's one of the few non-sneak and show decks in the top 8, including yourself. What do you think about your Shardless Bug matchup? Did you get any time to play test it last night, or are you going to kind of go in raw?
Pretty much going in raw. I got some coaching from Joe and Caleb, so they told me what I'm supposed to be doing in it. Feel pretty confident about the matchup.
Well, what do you think is the primary axis of interaction there, then?
Not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's just I think my cards are supposed to match up pretty well against their cards, like Stoneforge.
Sure. If you can get in a few hits with Geist, you can obviously take it down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we go, I have one final question for you. You get to make a token. Now, my first intuition was you might want the horse elemental for Master of Waves. It's blue and it's a horse, the Colts. I mean, seems good. But you said you would like a different token. Which token would you like to make?
I said Centaur. It was really just on a whim. I guess it's kind of horse-ish.
It is kind of horse-ish. All right. Well, Michael, congratulations once again on the top 8, and good luck when
All
your
right,
matches
thanks.
start. I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Ruben in the booth, and he's going to bring you the 6th seed.
Hello, welcome back to the booth. Ruben Bressler here with some guy. I don't know who this is.
Hi. Why'd you guys let me in here? I don't understand.
I mean, you're not a common. You barely even play Magic anymore, right?
Barely, yeah.
So, Jerry Thompson, of course. If it's an invitational, Jerry Thompson's in the top 8. You just write it in.
6 out of 9 times.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad. 66?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a good batting average. I like it.
Yeah, those 3 that I missed, though, are just...
They eat away at
Yeah,
you.
they do. I know exactly what I did wrong in each of them, so...
Well, there you go. So, a couple things to discuss. First of all, you're playing against BBD in this top 8.
Yep, played him a few times.
You are his white whale.
I don't know what that means, but I think it means that I beat him a lot.
Yes, he constantly, you're his one focus objective. Like, I can do all these other things, but I have to beat Jerry.
Yeah. So I'm definitely in the double digits of wins. I don't know if it's like 11 or 12 or whatever, but the last time was the first time he beat me. The last time we played, which was the last Invitational.
There you go.
But then I did way better than him at the last Invitational.
That's true.
Too. So I don't know. When we're playing a mirror match too, which never happens, usually like before he was playing like decks like Merfolk and just like bad decks, and then as he got better and matured as a player, he started playing better decks and was usually playing decks that preyed on my decks. So.
Sure.
The last one he got me, Junk Reanimator against Blue Eye Red Flash, but this one we're just playing a mirror match, and he's played this deck before and I haven't, so.
It's also a, I don't know if it's an exact mirror, if it's a 75
It's not.
card
I have
mirror.
some Swan Songs, which give me a little edge.
There you go.
Which he mentioned, are probably going to be pretty bad for him, and he said that he wants to kill me with a Swan token, and then maybe make himself a Swan, I don't know.
That'd be pretty good.
It would be hilarious. I'd be really mad.
Well, he is on the play in this top 8. Does that matter as much when you're in 5-game sets?
Sort of, not really. Like, I mean, this matchup's so strange because like our show and tells are basically dead.
Sure.
Because I mean, we have Gitaxian Probe or whatever, but for the most part, we're gonna have like a sneak attack or a fatty in our hand, and then that person gets to untap and either use like mana with Gristlebrand or annihilate you with Emrakul first. So. That's pretty bad, and I think mostly post-board the games are just about sculpting a perfect hand and then finding a sneak attacker through the breach and going off that way.
Sure.
With enough protection. So, maybe you can get like a fast draw or something, but for the most part, I don't think being on the play is a huge advantage.
Now, you've been in more of these invitational top 8s than pretty much anybody. I think
Oh, yeah.
Shaheen might have almost equivalent experience.
Shaheen has 4 total, I think, which we're
think he
all
has
in a row.
5.
Does he have 5?
I think he has 5. I'm not sure. 5's a lot, but 6 is still more than 5, I think.
It is.
We'll have to check
is.
the math on
Okay.
that. But you have more. So you have more experience than pretty much anybody.
Yeah.
In these Sunday afternoon situations here at the Invitational. Is there anything that players at home should know about the Sunday afternoons? They're very different than the regular tournament. Is there anything that you would suggest about that to new players?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like Sunday is nice because you get to like sleep in a little bit. You get to grab a little breakfast. You get to come in and do these sorts of interviews and stuff, and it's very relaxing. And then you play like some grueling matches, but you're not playing as many of them. So while the games are best 3 out of 5, or the matches are best 3 out of 5, and they can take like upwards of like 5 hours if it's like BBD against Max Teats, for example. Both of them pretty slow players. But I don't know. Like the day just feels nice. It's like small. It's easy. I like it.
Nice. And, of course, I have to ask you one thing before I let you leave, and that is if you got to make a 3rd token, that's ridiculous, what would you decide to be?
Look, I've been busy the last 2 weeks, like moving, and I went to the Pro Tour, kind of prepared for that a little bit, but didn't have enough time to prepare as much as I would have liked, and that's basically the same thing for this tournament. Like, I kind of just chose to play Sneak and Show like on a whim, hadn't played a game with it, so like what token I would make, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it. I was too busy. Like, I'm driving to Seattle after this.
Life happens.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
Cool.
Who knows?
Well, speaking of life happening and continuing on with life, this tournament is Jerry's swan song so it's only fitting that he's playing 3 in his sideboard.
2.
2? Ah,
2.
Rats. All right, well.
Do your research.
2 in the sideboard is still enough for me to make the pun.
Sure.
We're going to toss it over to your opponent in the first round, Brian Brown-Dwin, who's in the sideboard with Glenn Jones.
Hello everyone, I'm Glenn Jones. I'm joined by Brian Braun-Dwin. You guys might remember Brian Braun-Dwin from such hits as Grand Prix Louisville last weekend, where he actually took home the trophy. So we're going to try and back-to-back trophy weekends here.
I am.
Sam Black tried, sort of a similar thing, but he obviously had to settle for just back-to-back top 8s. So you're looking to one-up him, and you're going to have to go through someone who has stood in your way before.
Yes, he has.
One Gerald Thompson Esquire.
Yeah.
I hear that you actually got your first legitimate, earned sanctioned match win over Jerry Thompson at the last Invitational, where he made top 8 again.
Yeah, so, I mean, you could look at it 2 different ways. You could look at it as, like, I have, like, a 1 in a million lifetime record against Jerry Thompson. But I like to look at it as I'm on a 1-0 streak against Jerry Thompson. So.
Well, this is going to be pretty much your last chance to improve on that streak, right? He's shipping out to Watch C in coming days.
Yeah.
So this is a final hurrah in the Brian Braun-Dwin versus Jerry Thompson matchup.
Yeah, I'm fine with 2-0. That's fine. I'm not greedy. I'm not going to try to like make it 3 times or anything. Like 2 is fine. You know.
Well, I think if you do a 3-0 sweep, it's like 1.5, right?
Yeah.
You can count it that way. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the actual deck matchups as opposed to the player matchups, because we know Brian can't possibly win those.
Ooh.
Yeah, and you're playing Sneak and Show, the same deck that Jerry's playing, as if things couldn't get any worse.
Yeah.
You're in a mirror match against your arch nemesis. What do you think about the mirror match? I know that you said you just got some experience in it over the course of this tournament, where you had to play it a couple times.
Yeah, I think. I played the mirror match for the very first time in round 9. Got smashed. So. Definitely like a little bit of a learning curve, but then I played it again in round 10 and I won. So maybe I'm a fast learner. I'm hoping that's the case. So yeah, I think the mirror, a lot of it's just going to come down to, in post-board games, it's all about sneak attack, because show and tell is just so risky. Like they're just going to put in a monster or their own sneak attack and then kill you with it.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to sneak attack. So I've got some interesting things I'm going to try to hopefully hedge on that. So.
Oh, well, I wouldn't want you to spoil things, Jerry. Jerry might be an earshot, so
he might be. Yeah.
We can keep it down. You decided to play the same standard deck as last weekend. That doesn't really surprise me, or I assume anyone else out there, obviously. It's hard to switch decks after you win a Grand Prix. Even if you might think it's right, it's kind of going to be a tough decision. So I guess what went into your process on honing Mono Black for a field that you knew would be much more prepared for it?
Yeah, so I knew people would be like a lot more prepared for it with... I figured like a lot of the control decks would start adopting either Pack Rat or Nightville Spectre to combat it, and I expected like the mirror match to be super prevalent, something that it wasn't in Louisville. So for that reason, like I got rid of the Doomblades and added like ultimate prices and just to like help hedge in the mirror match. That was the main change I made.
All right, Brian. Well, I'm gonna wish you good luck in the top 8. You know, it's a star-studded affair, including yourself, and I'd be happy to see you winning another trophy.
Thanks.
But the real question everyone wants to know, what would your token be if you won?
Well, I think I just have to do a Star Rat.
A Star Rat? Well, so the
Pack
token
Rat.
Would be a Pack Rat token, but
Pretty much.
Would you want yourself made into rat form, or would you prefer to be, perhaps a fleeing onlooker in the horde of Pack Rats?
Personally, my vision for the card is like me as like a rat wearing like some like overalls and like like a conductor's hat, like loading a U-Haul, like literally a Pack Rat. So.
All right. Well, we've got Saturday morning cartoon Braun-Dwin here with his Pack
Yes.
Rat token. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it to my cohort Ruben Bresler. He's there with your 3rd seed Cam, and they'll break down his matchups in the top 8.
Welcome back to the booth. Ruben Bresler here with Cam Adkins. Cam,
yes.
It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you, Ruben.
You're another one of the lesser-known players here in the top 8. So for the folks at home, introduce yourself, how you qualified for this event, and where you're from.
Sure. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I qualified at a standard IQ about 2 hours south, And what was the other thing?
Where are you from?
Oh, both of those.
Yeah. So you're from Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
And you qualified through an IQ. Now you think you probably have enough open points for another qualification, and certainly at this point you will.
Oh, yes.
But invitational qualifiers, you actually have a lot of experience with because you're also an L1 judge.
Yes.
And you also run a store or
yes.
help run a store? Or?
I work at Tower Comics and Games in Suwanee, Georgia, and I intend to run a lot of IQs there. I've run IQs all over our state.
Awesome.
And I think that they're a really sweet program.
Excellent. Yeah. So the Invitational Qualifier program, of course, is a big part of the Open Series and a big part of the Invitational. We had 95 players playing in this Invitational alone who qualified through the IQ program. So it's a big part. And it's always good to have IQ winners getting into the top 8s of these major events.
Right.
So do you prefer those to the larger tournaments?
I really like kind of the local feel. I like rolling out of bed and going to the tournament, and I like that a lot of my friends can go to those, but I really do enjoy like super competitive level play. Like this is really cool getting to go on a vacation and a trip and everything.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. And speaking of a vacation, now that you've top-aided one of these, are you planning on going to the next one in Las Vegas?
I already had plans to go to the Vegas Invitational, and I'm definitely going to solidify those at this point.
Perfect. That's awesome. So you had 6-1-1 records in both Standard and Legacy
yes.
to be able to get to the 3rd seed, which is a very respectable position that you're in right now. And you're going to be facing off against Michael Bernat. And you're playing Shardless Bug against Esper Stoneblade. Have you played a lot of that matchup?
Yeah, my buddies and I got back to the hotel last night, and we just ran the matchup probably about 40 times. And I'm feeling really good about the matchup.
Good. Absolutely. And of course, I have to ask about the Jace hoodie. You have the Is It shirt, the Jace hoodie.
Yeah, the Is It shirt underneath.
You big, powerful planeswalker here, ready to cast some spells.
Absolutely. I'm going to cast myself in Legacy.
Absolutely. And the last question I have for you is, if you were to win this Invitational, have you thought at all about what token that you'd be?
I think without hesitation, no questions asked, it has to be the 2/2 Flying Vampire token. From Innistrad.
Sure. The Bloodline Keeper token?
Yes.
Nice. That's a good one. Fits the hair also.
It does a little bit.
So that's pretty good. All right. Well, that's it for Cam Adkins, everybody. You'll see him later on. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And we're going to toss it downstairs to the sideboard with Glenn Jones and Huey Jensen.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Glenn Jones, and I'm joined by Huey Jensen. Congratulations on yet another top 8. You're kind of stringing these things together, making it look a little easy.
Yeah, it's not easy, but I am having a decent
run. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
How can I start stringing together top 8s?
Well, a little skill and a little luck, I guess.
All right.
A lot of hard work.
I guess I could start signing up for more tournaments.
Yeah.
That might be a good start, too.
That helps, too.
I'll chalk it up more to that than anything else. So you decided to come here and top 8 our little tournament, and you decided to play Esper Control once more in Standard.
Yep.
Not a shock since you did so well at Grand Prix Louisville last weekend with it.
Yep.
And you're playing Sneak and Show in Legacy, which you'll be showing off for us in the feature match arena very shortly. So I guess for starters, what did you adapt with your Esper Control list after seeing the change in the field at Louisville? Obviously, you had to expect that mono black deck to be big, right?
That and we expected the Invitational in general lends itself to more control and less aggro than an open tournament, at least in the opinion of myself and Reed Duke, who obviously, essentially it's just his deck. So like the 2 main deck Thoughtseize, no main deck Doomblade. We went down to 1 Elspeth from 2 because it's just so weak against the Hero's Downfall decks. The land count was the same. The Revelations, Divinations counters were all the same. Changed the sideboard a little bit. I actually went undefeated in Standard at this tournament, 6-0-2. So that deck did very well for me.
Sure.
Super happy I played it. I think I also am very comfortable in control mirrors. I've played a lot, back when every deck was control.
Yeah.
So
you've got the patience for it.
I feel like I like my chances in those. So that's another reason that I chose to play Esper.
Yeah, I like that read on the field too. Not only are you correct, Invitationals do tend to have these slower or at least more interactive decks.
55-minute rounds too.
The longer time contributes to making better matches. And also the best deck against the mono black deck is like these mono red decks, right? So it's a field that's not even that likely to react in that way, even if you might expect.
Mono black isn't the best matchup. I played against it once and I won, but I got very lucky. Sure. Which happens, but it's not an awful matchup or anything, but it's no buy, and there's really not that much you can do to like swing it dramatically in your favor.
It has
at least
been
that we figured out.
A good weekend for Esper Control with 2 finals appearances in the Standard Open as well. So it looks like you guys had a pretty close, if not spot-on metagame read at least.
Yep.
So shifting over to Sneak and Show, you do have the virtue of the 2nd seed. That means you get to be on the play in all of your matchups until you potentially face Brad Nelson in a Sneak and Show mirror. Do you think that that's actually going to be really important?
I think it's a little overrated, honestly. I think this is play draw in Magic is a little overrated in general. I understand that in Legacy it's more important, but it's also less important in a 5-game match than a 3-game match. Obviously, the top 8 of the Invitational is best of 5. Like I said, in Legacy, it's probably a little more important than other formats, but I'm willing to bet that people still dramatically overrate how important it is. I mean, it matters.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but
it is a variable.
Yeah, it is a variable, but I don't think it's. Some people will claim like I can't lose this match on the play and can't win on the draw. I think it's rarely that extreme.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you are paired against Shardlespell. You're one of the few Sneak and Show pilots to escape the
Sneak and Show bracket.
The Sneak and Show bracket. Yeah, it's filled with a lot of mirrors. So you'll get to play fair decks up until the finals.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And what do you think of your Shardlespell matchup to kick things off?
I've certainly lost it before, but I think I'm a pretty decent favorite in the matchup. Just the decks, I mean, not.
Sure.
Yeah. So but his deck has Afterboard has 4 Thoughtseize and 3 him, so I can just lose to Thoughtseize and him.
Definitely happen, yeah. All right, well, congratulations once more on your top 8. And before we go, I have to ask you, I know that you got put on the spot a little bit, but what token do you want to make if you win this tournament?
I'm thinking about maybe an Elemental token for Master Waves, but I'm not sure yet.
All right. Well, don't hold him to it, but we've got a maybe there. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it to Ruben. He'll bring you Brad Nelson, the 1st seed going into the Invitational top 8.
Welcome back to the booth. I'm Ruben Bressler, and I'm sorry, folks, but we have to end on a little bit of a sour note. We have another unknown player here. It's Brad Nelson.
Hello, everyone.
StarCityGames.com writer, versus video star, 2010 Player of the Year, coming off 5 consecutive Grand Prix standard top 8s.
No, I had a top 16 in the middle there.
Oh, sure. You had sorry, my bad.
It sounds better. It's 5 in a row.
Sure.
And also, for the first time, not competing in the Legacy Open after an Invitational.
There you go.
That's what I like
to
be known
for. Your first
for.
Invitational top 8. This is a pretty big deal for you, right?
Oh, yeah. It's been a monkey on my back for a long time. I've been playing these for almost 2 years now. I think this is like my 7th, and I've been really wanting a top 8. I thought I even got there in round 15 yesterday, but I ended up having to play down, so I even had to play for it in round 16. But I'm just happy to be here and ready to battle in, I guess, Legacy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you would rather be playing in Standards because when you played in round 15 and round 16 yesterday and you had to battle, you were able to win and put the 7th and 8th wins in your Standard column, an 8-0 record in Standard in this tournament with a deck that is way off the radar, Naya Control, which is sort of like saying Junk Combo or like Esper Aggro. It's just 2 words that don't go together.
Until now.
Most part. Until now. Now we're putting it in vogue now. But why did you decide to play Naya Control?
Because the thing that the Mono Black does to the format that we haven't really seen in a long time is it like punishes synergistic decks. So I wanted to play cards that punish them, but you couldn't really be synergistic. So I just wanted good cards like Celestia Charm is very good against them. Not playing any green creatures so their lifeline zombies can attack you. Playing Assemble the Legions is by far the best card against them. But you just have like good removal, a lot of good threats that are all Planeswalkers. So even if they kill the Planeswalker, it leaves some tokens. But because you're a control deck, those tokens are actually valuable and they keep attacking, and then they have to deal with them again because every threat they play you kill. Also, the deck does have some diminishing returns because no one knew exactly what I was doing. So a lot of people with Lifebane Zombie me see that they have no target and realize that they are actually the aggressor and they sideboarded to be the control player. Thinking that they were going to get beat down, which is just not true. So the deck was just well positioned this weekend because no one had any idea what I was doing. And I'm going to talk extensively about the deck in my article this week because,
of course,
because finding it and like working on it was just like a really good experience for a couple days before I came here.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the master of finding the one weekend deck. Now sometimes they become more than one weekend
Yeah.
decks. But this one's a good example of definitely a great deck for this weekend.
Oh yeah, and it does say something about the Magic Online community, because I did tune this deck, but I didn't actually design it. It was a deck that actually won a premier event, and I think a lot of people just like ignored it, where I was like, that's exactly what I want to be doing. But yeah, so I mean, thank you for anyone at Magic Online that worked on the deck. I did like it and kept going.
Now let's turn to Legacy. You're going to be facing off against Max Teets, who's playing Blue White Red Delver, and you're playing Sneak and Show. How confident are you in that matchup?
Extremely. Like, when I saw my matchup, I was so happy. Like, I went into this tournament knowing that top 8 was like one of the best finishes I could actually get. Like, if I get to top 8, I'm going to play someone really good in Legacy. And now I actually have a good matchup. I'm on the play. I'm on the play all 3 rounds if I get there.
Yeah.
I could luck sack against Jerry or BBD. That can happen.
Absolutely.
Like, I have a good matchup. I run into one of them. I could just like Sneak and Show before they do, and then I don't know who's going to make the other finals, but I can luck sack there too. So like, if I win this tournament, it means I'm running hotter than the sun.
That's awesome. And if you do win this tournament, you'll get to choose your image for another token. Now you already have the human token with the claws. If you win this tournament, what is your invitational token going to be?
100%. I'm being a goat.
0-1 goat.
0-1 goat.
Trading post.
I'm staying true to my trading post.
Okay.
Then I'm going to have to play it again.
That's, jeez, that's not. Actually, that would be a pretty good.
Yeah.
You look a little bit goatish.
Yeah,
with
and
the,
I want
the goatee.
Yeah, I've got a long story for it. Well, if I win, you'll see the art. I know exactly what I want.
This question must have come up in car rides and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So you've thought about this a long time.
Oh yeah. It's
well,
completely in my
I'm
head.
excited to see that, but you have a couple of rounds of
Yes.
Magic to get to before we crown you the champion, or we crown any
We have a
of our.
crown?
We don't have a crown. We
I
have a
want a crown
trophy.
now.
Before we present you or either of our 7 other competitors with the invitational trophy. Brad, thank you for joining me in the booth. We're going to be back for that top 8 of the Invitational here in Indianapolis, Indiana, around about 12:30 today, and we'll see you then, and we'll see you then. See you later.